This is the ASUS ROG Xbox Ally. That's quite a name. And this is the ASUS ROG Xbox Ally X. These are the new gaming PC handhelds from ASUS. And this time around, they did something a little bit different. These devices have Xbox and Game Pass baked right in and have a slick new interface. They look the same, but they're actually quite different. One's quite more powerful than the other and a bit more expensive. Are you thinking about getting one? Not sure which one's right for you? Well, let's talk about it. All right, so let's talk about the differences. Obviously, the colors are different. This is the Xbox Ally. It retails for $599 in the US. Okay, the chipset in this one is AMD's Z2A. The A stands for Aerith, which is the same chipset that's in the original Steam Deck. This unit also comes with 16 gigs of RAM and a 512 hard drive. Now, on top of this device, the layout's the same on both devices, but the two USB-C ports on this one are 3.2. Now, the black Xbox is the Xbox Ally X. This has Z2 Extreme AI chipset in it. Now, the difference here is that this chipset is based on AMD's HX370, which is one of the most powerful chipsets they've ever released on a mobile device. This one has 24 gigs of DDR RAM and a 1 terabyte hard drive. Now, what's significant here, again, the layout's the same on top, but what you have differently is these are USB 4.0 ports, so they're quite a bit faster. Also, as I mentioned, the Xbox Ally is $599 in the US. The Xbox Ally X is $999 in the US. So there's a big difference in price, right? So you gotta figure out what your needs are. You gotta figure out what your use case is. Before we get into any of that, this guy is kind of unique. It's very different looking than any other device that ASUS has released before. So as far as ergonomics, both devices have the same look and feel. They both have these grips on them, or these handles, and it essentially looks like they took an Xbox controller, cut it in half, and stuck a screen in between. And that's kind of what it feels like. I mean, this is the most comfortable handheld I've ever held. It's grip-wise and weight balance and everything, this thing is perfect. It feels great in your hands. The sticks feel great, the D-pad feels great, the placement of all the buttons and the face buttons feel great on this device. There's nothing on the device that's uncomfortable, right? The placement of the sticks are great, the placement of the D-pad's great, the placement of the face buttons are great. Shoulders and triggers, good. Although the shoulders are a tiny bit, if you're using the D-pad, maybe the bottom right stick, not uncomfortable, but a tiny bit of a reach. Triggers feel great, very quiet. Face buttons are relatively quiet, about the same as the previous Allies. On the back, you have programmable inlines, which are clicky. Comfort-wise, it's a perfect place to put your hands. You don't need a grip or anything like that. I do know that I've seen some feedback from people that have maybe longer fingers and their hands there. It kind of hits that crease and you find it a little maybe my fingers aren't long or not good enough. I find those things to be encouraging. So let's take a look at the original Ally and give you an idea what it is. So this is ASUS ROG Ally Z1, right? So this one here, I actually 3D printed and put some custom grips on it because it's not the most comfortable thing to hold. Right here in this area without the grips on, it just digs into your palms. It's not a super comfortable experience. Let me pop this off so you can get an idea what I'm talking about here. See what I mean about that corner there? I mean, it's not awful. It's not like, oh man, it's cutting into my hand, but it's just not as comfortable as this. So the difference between the original Ally and this comfort-wise is night and day. It's incredible the feel on this guy. Whoa. Now let's take a look at the Steam Deck, which up until this point, I would have said is the most comfortable handheld ever to hold. So this is the original LCD Steam Deck, super comfortable, very unique, their placement of D-pad and sticks, but it works. It feels great, it's super comfortable. The buttons are smaller than the Ally buttons. If you look, comparison, the buttons definitely are smaller. They're a little bit softer, but they're less noisy. Shoulders and triggers are excellent on this. This grip case I have here from JSOX helps. There's a portion right here on the device where the two pieces of shell meet and it's almost scratchy. This grip makes it perfect. It has the perfect amount of texture and just the whole device is super comfortable. This is an awesome device to hold. These are better. They're just more comfortable. They fit naturally. It's like holding an Xbox controller. And the weight balance is so good. Now, on the Xbox Ally X, and I forgot to mention this earlier, this device is slightly heavier because this comes with an 80 watt-hour battery, and the regular Xbox Ally comes with a 60 watt-hour battery. Now, comparison, this guy only came with a 50 watt-hour battery. So a little bit more power, but weight balance is still insane. And on Xbox Ally X, it's not noticeable. Like, I mean, you know, you're lifting these up compared side by side, yes, but every day you're not going to notice that this device is super comfortable to hold. So great experience so far. Now let's talk about performance. Let's talk about what these are for. Before we even get into game testing, let's talk about what I feel like the right use cases for each device is. So this device here is, if you are like I am, if you like to do a lot of indie gaming, a lot of platform, a lot of lightweight gaming, this is a great device for that. You know, and some older AAAs will play, but you're probably not going to have a great experience if you're trying to play Battlefield 6 with this. You know, if you're trying to play the latest AAA game with this, you're probably not going to have a great experience because it's going to have, it has an older, outdated, lighter chipset just like this one here. The difference between the Steam Deck and the Xbox Ally is Steam Deck is running SteamOS, and a lot of the games are kind of tweaked to run on a Steam Deck on SteamOS. So there's going to be some games that will actually play better on this than they will on this on SteamOS because they're kind of tweaked better to operate, if that makes sense. Now this guy here is based on AMD's HX370, which is a beast of a chipset. Okay, it's one of the latest ones that AMD has released, and it's a monster, man. It plays. This will play Battlefield 6. This will play, you know, any AAA game you can think of. I've played Borderlands 4 on this. I played Doom the Dark Ages on this. Borderlands 4 and Doom the Dark Ages are playable here if you use frame gen and you turn everything down and you turn the resolution down. They're playable. Not the best experience, but they're totally playable. The experience on those games here is huge. It's huge. Another thing to look at, if you're looking at light gaming, light platforming, indie games, or if you're looking at emulation, this guy is an emulation beast, man. I ran Switch, I ran PS3, I ran GameCube, I ran Wii U, no problems at all. This guy is a total beast of that stuff. So you got to figure out your use case, right? You know, if you decide that this is the one for you because of that, because you want to run emulation and you want to play some light indie games. If you're thinking that those are your use case scenarios and you don't have one, you might look at getting a Steam Deck, because the Steam Deck OLED is $549 and you get an OLED screen with a Steam Deck for $549, whereas this is $599. But if you want to play those same games, but you also want access to Game Pass and cloud gaming, this thing is awesome, man. It's worth the money. This chipset on here, I don't know what they did differently from the version that's in the Steam Deck, but especially when you're cloud gaming, shout out to Team Retro for pointing that out. This thing just sips on the battery, hours. I played Ori and the Blind Forest through Game Pass cloud streaming, and I mean, like 3 or 4 hours on it, and I don't even think I barely impacted the battery. I didn't do a battery test, but it just seemed like it lasted forever. So if you're cloud streaming, game streaming, like games, you want access to Game Pass, you want access to GOG, you want access to Prime Gaming, this guy here is definitely worth it. If you're not interested in Prime Gaming or Game Pass, or and your entire collection is Steam, then why not get a Steam Deck OLED? They're $549. It's got an OLED screen. You're getting the same power. The games might be slightly tweaked a little bit better for this device. Why not, right? Now, if you're looking into gaming power and you want to play everything, then this is the way to go. Right now, there's a couple other devices out there, but what you're getting here in conjunction with Xbox button and the Xbox experience that's built into this, it's not really, you can't beat it, man. This has everything. So let's power these on and take a look at a couple games. All right, so when you boot this up, this boots right into the full Xbox experience, which is a user interface that's focused on gaming. It's focused on controller. It's not a mouse and keyboard setup like most gaming on Windows is. This is designed to work with the touch screen, with the D-pad, the stick, it works. Everything, you don't need a mouse and keyboard. There's not UAC prompts asking you, are you sure you want to launch a game? It just works. So very cool. You can use your finger to kind of scroll through stuff, right? Or you can use the D-pad and pick on stuff. You jump in games. I mean, all your stuff is here. All your games that you have installed, you can go up to your Game Pass right there, click on that, and you go into what's available on Game Pass for you, right? Or you can go to the home screen and look at what you've got, what's featured from EA Play, which is included with Game Pass, right? Or you can go to your library and then you can look and see what's in your library. Now, these aren't all games I installed. This is what's in my library, okay? And then when you go up here, there's a menu there. If you see that menu right there, you click on that and you can have it highlight all the games that you have from all your aggregated libraries, which is going to be Xbox, Steam, Epic Store, or you can just do a specific one. So I want to just look at my Xbox games. So these are the Xbox games that I have installed, right? Go to owned. You have everything that you own that you've purchased, or in Game Pass, which is kind of cool. And you go back and then you'll see all the games that are in Game Pass, right? Or you can go to installable or cloud playable and you'll see everything that's there, okay? I like to keep it on all games because I want my entire collection there. I want all my aggregate games. Now, these are all the games I have installed in Xbox Store. So the experience is a lot of fun. If you hit the Xbox button, it takes you to favorites. It's got your home, it's got your library. Up along the top there, you can go up there, you can tap through different things. There's your Armory Crate. You can actually launch the original Armory Crate, but it's gonna give you all your Armory Crate hotkeys. So change your TDPs, your game mode. You can do real-time monitor. You can do the new AMD RSR, which I haven't messed with yet. You can adjust the keyboard and so on and so forth. Let's go back up. There's the home there. Here's your settings. You can adjust your keyboard style. You can adjust your power, your network. You can turn your microphone on and off. You can adjust your volume. Here is the Microsoft Edge Game Assist. It's kind of there, help you look up information, kind of like Copilot, but for AI gaming. And there's actually a Copilot section that gives you, can help you with strategy guides, can help you look up tips and tricks on the games and stuff. Here's your Xbox social section, which is going to have your friends and things like that. Audio controls, sound just like on a PC. And then you have your capture to capture game footage and clips and stuff. There's your performance and your usage. And then here is going to be the widget store, which is actually really cool. So here you can go and pick a widget and you can add new widgets to launch in the Xbox game bar, right? So let's just say, let's just add the calculator, right? Do the calculator, you do install. All right, so now that it's installed, it should be in our game bar. So let's hit the Xbox button. Now it's installed and we go all the way over to the widgets and it's right there. See it? Calculator. Something else. If you want to go to the Windows desktop, take the Xbox button, hold it down. And it'll prompt you saying, hey, what experience you want? Do you want the full Xbox experience or do you want the Windows desktop? Click on Windows desktop. Boom, there you go. Windows desktop mode. Now you have all your traditional stuff. So I have my Chrome browser, my Xbox Game Pass, my Armory Crate, which you can click on and go to your traditional Armory Crate. These are emulators, right? It's Eden and RPCS3. From what I understand, there's a way to add these to the game bar. I haven't messed with that yet enough to know. My biggest complaint and a lot of people's biggest complaint about Windows gaming is the biggest one for me has been time to game, right? Because, on Steam, you turn it on, much like the PlayStation interface, it goes straight to your games. You pick a game, you launch it, and you go. And that's it. So with Windows, you had to turn it on. You had to wait for it to boot in. You had to select the game. You had to wait for it to ask you if you sure you wanted to play that game. Once you click the game, If you're like me and you're a controller gamer, you have to click the game with the mouse and start it and then switch to the controller and get going. You don't have to do that here. If you want to, you can. You can click on a game. Now, it's not going to do it since this is geared for gaming. It's not going to ask us for the Windows experience here, but you can still click on a game and do it that way on the desktop. But why would you when you have it on the game bar and all you have to do is just go to the game bar and run it? So if you want to switch back, go there, click on the full Xbox experience. It's going to say, hey, you need to restart it. And saying it's going to restart it to give you an optimized performance. Now, what that means is when it's running the Xbox experience, it's actually using less resources. For me, I'm not going to use this guy for productivity. This is a gaming handheld for me. So as long as I can get everything I need in the Xbox game bar, I'm going with this guy. So now let's talk about why you'd pick one of these over a Steam Deck, right? So when I think Steam Deck, I think ease of use, comfort, and time to game. Steam Deck, you power it on, it goes straight into big picture mode. You pick a game you play. Traditionally on Windows, like I've said before, you have to go through a few steps to get the game to go. This is where the full Xbox experience benefits. Now it goes straight into this here where you have all your games listed, right? So you have more of a Steam experience. So again, why would you pick this over Steam Deck? Well, with this device here, in addition to Steam games, you also have Xbox Game Pass games, Xbox Cloud Streaming. You have GOG, Epic Game Store. If you're like me, you even have Prime Gaming. Now, I know you can load GOG and Epic Game Store here through the junk store, but there's a lot of extra steps that you have to do to get it there. Not a lot, but some extra steps. And some people who aren't tech savvy, this might not be for them, right? Whereas this, it's just there. It's part of Armor Crate. It's ready to go. So there's a benefit there, okay? So we're not even going to include this guy in this conversation because it's just not fair. So we're going to take this guy out of the equation, and we're just going to talk about the Steam Deck and the regular Xbox Ally. So comparing the two, game-wise, you have two different games. So right off the bat, the big picture mode on the Steam Deck is nicer to look at. It's definitely nicer to look at. It's a little bit more fluent, maybe. It just looks better. So look at Celeste, right? Now on the Xbox game bar, look at Celeste on Steam. See how pretty that looks with the icon? And you could potentially, maybe I haven't messed with it enough, but maybe you could potentially change these icons, but these are just kind of generic icons here. And that's the Celeste icon, right? So let's take a look and see roughly how long these guys seem to boot. So Celeste there, you gotta click that, you gotta click play. And then it loads in Steam, right? Whereas on the Steam Deck, you're already in Steam. Oh, wrong one. Click that. Oh, I'm in Steam here, so it's gonna disconnect me from there. Let's go back. So that took probably about 30 seconds, right? I'll take a look at the timer and see how long it took, but I think that took about 30 seconds, right? Now let's take a look at Celeste on the Steam Deck, how long it takes to launch it there. Now look at that. That was maybe 12 seconds. So I'm going to time it to be sure, but I think it was around 12 seconds. That's pretty nuts. So time to game, you still can't beat SteamOS and the Steam Deck, right? So that's king there. But again, you have access to different things. You have access to the Epic Game Store. You have access to GOG. The big thing is the Game Pass and the Xbox Cloud Streaming. If you're a cloud streamer or you're big into Game Pass, this is gonna win every time. If you're not, if you're only looking at Steam and SteamOS and you don't mind sideloading GOG and Epic Game Store, why not get this? For the $600 of this, for $550, you can get an OLED Steam Deck with the same specs. Absolutely. Every day I take that. So, now let's get into some gaming performance on the different devices. So as expected, you're not going to see any issues with a game like Celeste on this device, on a Steam Deck. Oh, wrong button. So Runs like a champ. D-pad on this device is really good. Is it better than the Steam Deck D-pad? I'd say it's about as good as the Steam Deck D-pad. Hades. So I'm gonna save the Z1E Ally for the comparison with the Ally X. I think they're closer. I don't think it'd be fair to compare the Z1E to these two devices. I think these two against each other is a great comparison since they're the same chipset and they kind of have similar use case scenarios. So between these two devices, I think really if you're into cloud gaming and you're into Game Pass and you're into, you know, Prime gaming and stuff like that, then this is a win. You know, it's got a great screen on it. The ergonomics are the best you're gonna find. Battery's a little bit bigger. You know, it's got the same chipset, the same amount of RAM, the same amount of storage. It is $50 more, right? Now this is the LCD Steam Deck. I mean $50 more than the Steam Deck OLED, right? So the Steam Deck OLED is $550 in the US, and it has an OLED screen, and it also comes with a different variation of the chipset, which is a slightly a bit more efficient, which may give you a little bit better power, or it just equals out because of the OLED. But I mean, so if you are just a Steam gamer, you're only gonna do some light gaming and you're only gonna play Steam games, then why wouldn't you get the Steam Deck OLED? You're gonna get an OLED screen and you're gonna save $50, right? So you gotta figure out which use case is for you. I don't think this is a bad device because of the ergonomics and, you know, the game bar, or the Xbox game bar, it's not bad. It's definitely not Steam OS level, but for a start, this is great for the start that's there. So that's, you know, that's something definitely to consider. Next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a look at the Xbox Ally X versus the Z1 Extreme and kind of take a look. Cause I mean, honestly, I don't see a point in comparing the Ally to the Ally X. I just think it's not gonna even be close. I think the Z1E Ally from last year is gonna be a better comparison for these two devices. So let me get set up and then we'll take a look. All right, let's see if we can get through this room here. Oh. I suck. Okay, so before we get into this, I want to show you something. So, and this is something that it's new. You know, the full Xbox experience is new here, but I'm hitting the buttons to go into the settings so I can adjust the TDP and nothing's happening. See that? So, you know, it could be a slight bug. So the Xbox buttons are working fine. but the actual ones with the hotkeys and stuff on it, the shortcuts, not working. So, I mean, it could be stuff that, you know, it just is part of it. It's new with the software. I'm sure they'll iron it out. Remember when the first Ally came out and it had Armory Crate? Armory Crate was awful. That's the best way I can say it. It was awful. So for Microsoft and ASUS, this being their first shot, this is actually pretty good. So I'm super impressed with it. But anyway, let's get back into it. Let's play some Celeste. Take a look and see how it looks on this device. Got it. Holy bejesus. Okay, so as long as... Oh, so as you walk past this, you see that? All right, so let's take a look at Borderlands 4 on the Z1E, okay? So this is running at 25 watt turbo. Let's take a look at the settings of the game real quick. We're getting 26 frames, 25 frames on the Z1E. Frames on the Z1E. Take a look at the video settings on this one here. So let's do 2 visuals. Display mode, Windows, so it's at 1080p, right? So we're gonna take out of the window mode, the full screen, and we're gonna do the, what is that, 1050? So let's jump this down to 900, right? And not gonna limit the frame rate, keep vertical sync off. Okay, let's go to advanced settings. Yes, we're gonna apply these settings. Yes, so we're at 900p. All right, let's go there. The graphic preset is low. Gonna auto detect FSR. Okay, upscaling quality. Change that to performance. For right now, we're gonna keep frame generation off. We'll turn it on later if we need to, okay? I'm gonna apply these settings. Out of there. And let's see, so we jumped up a little bit. Now we're running anywhere from 35 to 40 frames, it looks like. So I will tell you, I think the sticks on the new Xbox are a little bit tighter. So that's a plus in its favor. .36 frames per second running on turbo. Let's turn on frame gen, see what this looks like. Frame generation on. All right. Apply. Back to game. So frame gen, we clearly got, it's all over the place. So we went from about 35 to now roughly 58 to 60 frames per second, which is huge with frame gen. I know some people are completely anti-frame gen. It doesn't bother me as much. You know what I mean? Yeah, the developers need to do their part and make sure these games run on it, but in some scenarios, you know, I don't have a problem using it. All right, so Borderlands 4, it is how it launches initially. I did set it to turbo, so it's at 25 watts. So instantly versus the original Ally, the sticks, they feel better. I like the sticks to be a little bit tighter, not so loose. These are right there. Buttons feel a little bit better. You know, yeah, shoulders and triggers feel better. I mean, just, yeah, man, it's a better feel. So game's running like a champ, man. Game's running like a champ. We're getting about from 25 to 30 FPS, which seems kind of low, but it's actually quite playable. Oh, I died. All right, let's start over again. You know what I'm gonna do? Before we even get into frame gen stuff, I'm gonna plug it in, which will bump it up to 35 turbo on power. So let's see what it looks like. Instantly, look at the difference. It jumped up to 56 frames. So let's take a look once we're in the heat, see if it's any better. All right, let's see where we're going up there. Oops. So, all right, so on turbo without any frame gen or anything, we're getting a little over 30, which is a little bit better. Let's turn on frame gen, huh? So 45 frames for frame gen. Interesting. Okay. So 55 frames, 56 frames, almost 60 frames a second with frame gen. So pretty nice. Running pretty good, and this is a pretty demanding game, so I'll take it. So let's talk about my final thoughts on these two devices. I think these are great devices. I think they're awesome. I think the Xbox Ally X is a better overall device. I think the regular Xbox Ally in itself is a great device. I think it has specific use cases. If you want a lower entry point and you want access to indie games and lighter, or maybe some older AAAs, or if you're interested in Game Pass or Xbox Cloud Gaming, this is a win. This is definitely a win. But if you really are not interested in Game Pass or cloud gaming, and most of your gaming is done on Steam, then just get a Steam Deck. I know that phrase is thrown around a lot here, but just get a Steam Deck, because for $600, this is what you get. For $550, you can get a Steam Deck OLED, which has an OLED screen, and it actually has the same chipset, but it's slightly more efficient, so you'd be better off. But if you want to do Game Pass or cloud streaming, or you want to do GOG or Epic Game Store, which you can do on Steam, but you can do it natively without any kind of tricks or hacks or side loading, then go with this guy. But apples to apples, I'd probably get a Steam Deck OLED just because it's $50 cheaper and you get an OLED screen. Not taking anything away from this, but also something else I wanted to point out. So on this device here, it's not doing it now. I had noticed that the B button got stuck. Kept getting stuck, and it would get crooked, and it gets stuck. So also, my bud, Michaela from Team Retro, he also got the regular Ally, and when his came, there was a gap right here in the scene, and he actually had to take the device apart right away first day just to get that gap resolved. He was able to do it, but again, out the box, the quality experience was a little concerning. And my device, the B button kept getting stuck, and it was just stuck there. So, whereas with the Ally X, I haven't had any hardware issues on this one. My other bud, Nelly from Gaming Repairs, she's got one.
She's working on a great video on how to take it apart and swap out the hard drive. She hasn't had any issues. And my other bud, Too Loud Tech, has one of these, no hardware issues out of these as well. So, and I'll link all those creators' channels because they make great content and they're good people to check out. So, you know, it's just tough because of the price, right? It's $1,000. This is a lot of money to spend on a gaming handheld. But if you have it, I say go for it. You know, there's another device coming out called the Legion Go 2, which has the same chipset in it. Now that device has a bigger screen and it has detachable controllers, but we're talking an almost $400 more on top of that. I think that device is coming out at $1,350. So that's a big investment. You know what I mean? That device also was going to have an 8-inch OLED screen with VR. This is not OLED, it's a 7-inch and it's got VRR, but you know, but again, we're talking $350 to $400 difference. So bang for the buck now with this chipset and this performance, this device is very hard to beat. There's a couple other, you know, smaller boutique devices like the Neo 3, which has the HX370. It's got more RAM in it. Oh, also the Legion Go 2 does have 32 gigs of RAM instead of 24. And you know, you have your options like from 1X Fly and from GPD, and there's a bunch of other boutique devices out there, but mainstream wise, no one else has incorporated Xbox button into it. The Lenovo Legion Go and the Xbox experience is coming to all the Windows handhelds. When? I can't tell you. That I don't know. For me, in my use case, this is going to be the device for me because I have a Steam Deck. Because I'm not sure that this is, you know, having a Steam Deck and I have an Ally Z1E, which is actually will outperform this one. I don't see the value or the use case of something like this. Not $600 worth. So anyway, but that's just my opinion, man. You know, let me know in the comments what you think if you have these or if you're thinking about getting one. Hopefully, if you were on the fence, you know, I was able to help you kind of pick some stuff out. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Take it easy and keep gaming.